It seems like all through life we build things. Things like forts, furniture, bikes, model planes, some things we need, and some things that don't always make a whole lot of sense. Sometimes we do it because we feel like we have to, and other times because it feels good to just, build something. Right now, all around the world, people are feeling the energy of hope and faith and rejuvenation in all the beliefs and actions of Pope Francis. He's building something for all of us, and he's lifting us up along the way. At the same time, so many of us are doing our part right here in Northern Nevada to reach out to one another. One of those somebody's doing his part to build up the church is Brian Kernan. In real life, in his day job life, Brian is a project manager who's helped make reality of so many things that have made our community stronger, including Our Lady of Snows, Immaculate Conception, and a project that's never far from Brian's heart, Minogue High School.
As I see it, the construction of the new Bishop Minogue campus is just an extension of the recognition in this community of the strength of Catholic education and how it contributes to the growth of individuals in their faith and in their love for one another and their recognition of their obligation to contribute to each other in a sense of watching out for each other and in giving.
Sometimes, building up the church happens in places we might least expect. Something Deacon Michael Johnson, head of prison ministry, who along with prison volunteer George Whalen, is of a belief that the best tools we can apply toward rebuilding faith are compassion and commitment.
Each week we take our message, "May the Lord be with you," to those who have been incarcerated in our correctional centers, our prisons, work camps, and jails. The prison ministry is first and foremost a ministry of presence, our presence and God's presence, to give hope and life to those who have been removed from their friends and personal possessions. In building God's church, the prison ministry volunteers are tasked to invite the inmates to open their minds and hearts and to consciously choose to be with the Lord. They need to know they're not alone. We do that through our gift of time and presence. Then we challenge them to walk with Christ out in the yard and to look for Christ in others and for others to see Christ in them through their actions and interactions with others. These are just some of the ways that we are helping to build up our church.
There are so many stories of those among us who are building up our church. There's Father Bill Nadeau, who mirrors the energy and aspirations of Pope Francis and who presses us to avoid complacency and to not simply have faith, but to live that faith and help mold a future that's even better for the next generation. There's also Dan Munoz and his family. Dan not only taps his construction skills to help build up our church, but more importantly, has for years gone even further with his conviction to building up the church by doing exactly what Pope Francis has asked of us, and being an example of faith and service to our youth. Another builder among us is Maripaz Ramos, Ethnic Ministry Director. For Maripaz, building up our church includes decorating it with the cultures and heritage of our ethnic communities and creating space where Latinos, Tongans, Filipinos, Koreans, and others share their gifts and express their culture and religious traditions, and embrace them in a spirit of welcoming, love, and compassion. From Fallon St. Patrick's Parish, Jane Moon's example of building up the church is both spiritual as well as physical.
We are there to support the spiritual needs of our church. And when we're there to do that, sometimes the physical follows. We're continually serving the spiritual needs of our brothers and sisters in Christ. And at the same time realizing as we're doing that, those needs are expanding. So we have to also expand the physical campus of our church because of all those needs, both spiritually and physically. So when our spiritual needs are met at that physical church, we are inspired to become the spiritual church outside of those walls. When I'm taking my kids to school, picking them up, interacting with people at work, I try to bring what I have learned and what I've been taught within those confines of the physical church to my interactions and my relationships. So the spiritual and the physical go hand in hand.
And just in case you ever get the idea that building is all work and no play, we're reminded by Fathers Tony Versaloni and Mike Mahone that raising funds can sometimes go hand in hand with having fun.
They say our love won't pay rent, for it's earned, our money's all been spent. I guess that's so we don't have a plan, but at least I'm sure of all the things we got. I got you.
Thankfully, they've not quit their day jobs. This thing we're building isn't a job. It isn't a building. It's something far bigger, yet something that comes together in even the smallest of ways. Something with which we all roll our sleeves up together. A faith among us that's the greatest power tool of all.
Last summer, during World Youth Day in Rio de Janeiro, Pope Francis encouraged his gathering to be active members in making Christ's living church so large that it could hold all of humanity, that it can be a home for everyone. In short, the Holy Father asked them, and he asks us, to build up the church. We take that message to heart here at the Diocese of Reno, so that we may build each other up as followers to carry out the mission Christ gave us. As you've just seen, it happens in many ways. Some we're familiar with, and many that go unseen, yet very personal and profound steps toward working together and assisting one another. That's our mission. That's what CSA helps us to do. Your contributions to CSA are vital in providing the necessary resources for our mission. We can't do this without you. We're in this together, for we are the church, the body of Christ. Thank you for your involvement and your support. Thank you for doing your part toward building up the church. May God bless all of you with an abundance of love and joy. Thank you.